Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com. And today we're talking about the best grain mills for 2024. It is time that if you are not yet milling your grain, you need to know why to mill your grain, and when you're going to mill your grain, what mill should you use? So I have several different varieties here that I can't wait to introduce you to. They're all good, but they each have their own flavor as to what makes them good or maybe not your favorite. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm also going to share with you the 7 reasons why you should be milling your own grain. And that's what we're going to talk about. Thanks for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health, which includes 3 ingredients. 1, be confident in the kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. Confident with your health. That's important. And confident in understanding how much God loves you. Let's talk about the 7 reasons why you should mill your own grain. Now, I just put my freshly baked loaf of bread out of the oven right up here in front of us so we could see it. It smells so delicious and it tastes really good too. This bread is packed with nutrition, but most importantly, it has a natural freshness to it. Now you may say, okay, all bread is fresh. Well, I'm going to be a little bit transparent here. We have a package of Dave's Killer Bread in the refrigerator. It's been in the refrigerator for 2.5 months. My husband just hasn't been eating it. And it still has a little bit of softness to it. Okay, there's something in this bread that I can't figure out how it can stay soft for almost 3 months. Something is up with this bread. Now, should you buy it? That's up to you. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I do have it in my refrigerator. But I want to know what's bringing that freshness to the bread. Now, this bread right here that I just baked, oh, that is fresh. And it looks delicious. Now, so number 1 is freshness. We want fresh flavor, and when you mill your own grain, you're going to get the flavor burst, and it's going to be real food. And that is something most people are not accustomed to because we've been eating dead bread for so many years, such as Wonder and other products. And so think about that, about the freshness. Number 2 is the nutritional value. Now, I do a specific teaching class on fiber because fiber moves everything along. It totally does. It cleans out the gut, and therefore your hormones are happier. Your body is less weight. It's so important to have fiber in your diet. Yet the bread in the store, the typical white bread that most people buy, has been stripped of its fiber. And they'll add a lot of gums and gelatins and things like that to make you think you're getting fiber, but you're not getting the fiber. Now, if you wonder how much nutritional value am I losing when I eat the bread from the store, in all of my cookbooks, I have given you the chart that tells you exactly the nutritional value that you are losing when you eat bread from the store. So I've got like a 2-page layout here of the nutritional value. One of the nutrients you need to understand is zinc. You're losing 98% of the zinc that God put in the grain of wheat when you buy store-bought bread. That's like bankruptcy to your body. Another issue, there's so much going on about no bread, it'll kill you, especially if you're diabetic. Well, yes, if you're eating store-bought bread, it could, because they've removed the chromium that God put in the grain of wheat, and diabetics need chromium to balance the blood sugar. So there are so many nutrients here on these pages. All of the B vitamins were stripped away. Now, they've been enriched back with some of them because people were going crazy and we had insane asylums being built everywhere, kind of like our cancer clinics are being built today. When they first started milling the grain and stripping it of all of its nutritional value, they had to start building insane asylums everywhere. Well, now we have cancer centers everywhere. There's reasons for that. So look at all the nutritional value that you are losing when you buy bread that you did not mill yourself. All right. Number 3 is flavor. The flavor in real food, once you understand the flavor and you really get to taste it and enjoy it, it's delicious. You will not want any of those fake foods ever again, which I call lab experiments. You totally want to have the flavor in these foods. Plus, when we're talking about milling our own grain, we're talking about any flour product. So it's pancakes, biscuits, cookies, crackers, anything you're adding in a mixture of a soup to create, or a gravy to create a thickening agent. You're talking breads, you're talking banana bread, muffins, cupcakes, cakes, everything. You're now taking once was a forbidden food, and now you're upping the nutritional value so much, and then the flavor. So you're putting in your own ingredients and you're getting real flavor. So no artificials, no fake sweeteners, no fake fruits, none of that. You're getting real food. So flavor is very important. Next is economy. And you may think, Annette, it costs so much to buy these machines. Yes, but you only buy a machine one time. When I figured out all of the cost involved to switching from buying store-bought bread to milling all of my grains myself, I saved money. You only invest in a machine one time. Once you have invested in that machine, you have it for life. And these machines are going to last you. As long as you follow the rules, they're going to last you. And now I can stock up on grain. Remember the story of Joseph. They stocked up on grain because they were going to have 7 years of a famine. Well, they made it through the famine because the grain was sustained them. It can do the same today. It's not a taboo food. It's actually a very nourishing food, but we've got to get good grains. And I'll put a link to my blog down below where you can go and look at all the different places where you can stock up on grain. And so you're going to have that convenience of that. So economy-wise, it costs less to mill your own and make your own food. The next is you're in charge. When you eat breads, like I'm not putting this bread down just because it's lasting almost 3 months. When you eat breads that you buy in the store, you can read the label and you can assume everything that had to do with making that bread is on the label. Now that's not 100% true, because whatever goes into a process does not have to go on the label. So when you are in charge of your own food, you actually are in charge of your health. Whoever is in charge of the food of your family is controlling the health of your family. That's very important to realize. So when you make your own foods, you're in charge. And so that has such a value to it that I hope you really let that sink in. And then lastly, and I think this is the best of all, when Jesus compares himself to the bread of life, this is very similar to the bread that he would have eaten, because these are stone ground or they're freshly milled and they're baked in the same day. And Jesus says, he talks about him being the bread of life. All of the nutrients that I talked about in here are life-giving nutrients. This bread's not going to kill you at all. In fact, it's going to help bring healing. We have had clients who have had warts go away. I know that's kind of a strange one. We've had them lose weight. One girl, she lost 20 pounds over 3 months just by adding in the bread. Well, you have fiber. Fiber cleans out the digestive tract. And that is what it does. It also helps you metabolize your foods better. So there's so many testimonies just by adding in the bread of the nutritional advantage that you have. And so this is why it's so important for you to consider milling your own grain. Now let's go to the comparison. Let's start with this one over here. This is the Nutrimill Classic. This is the one I started with. And all of these are good machines. None of them are a wrong choice. It's what's best for you and your family. When you mill the grain, you're going to pour it into the hopper, and it's going to mill into this bowl. So you would just pull the bowl out, open it up, and then you would have the flour. Now, the advantage of this is it's all one unit, and it's very simple to store, and it holds a lot of grain. So in this one, you can turn it on. You can put the grain in first and then turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. This is the only machine you can do that. So there's something to that if that's important to you. When I use this, I would turn it on and I would go and do a lot of other things, and then I would come back when I thought it was done and turn it off. And so it has that value. So it can mill any of your hard grains. If you are into sprouting grains, you can just do a minimal sprouting, but they have to be 1000% dry. No moisture in any of these machines ever. No seeds in this one, no herbs and no spices. Now this one is made in South Korea. So you have a good machine and it's good for the price point. So if you just need an entry level, this would be a good choice. Now from the same company is this one. This is called the Harvest Mill. And not trying to put any of the others down, but I would say this is the prettiest one of all. sitting on your counter. It comes, this top band comes in different colors to match your kitchen. This is kind of the minimalist look with the white and the bamboo, and it is a bamboo, it's made from bamboo, and it has just beautiful inside. You got the nice bamboo bowl. You would put your grains in. So this one, you would turn it on first, then add your grains, and then you're going to need to have a bowl out front to catch the grain after it's milled into a flour. So very simple to use. The controls are on top. You would just make it coarse to fine. And again, same as the Nutrimill, only grains. So your wheats, your barley, your buckwheat, your quinoa, your amaranth, any of the hard grains you can mill. No spices. But the interesting thing about this one, both of these, you're going to add white rice in it the first time to clean it out, or anytime it gets a little gunked up. And so, but this one, the company says you can remill the white rice. Now, it doesn't say you can remill flour, but you can remill the white rice. So that's an interesting fact for you to think about. Okay, so, but both of these, neither one of these you're not supposed to have a remilling of the flour. Once you've milled it one time, that's the texture. These are both, they range from coarse to fine, depending on how you have set it. Now, the coarse to fine is in a narrow margin. Now, they say this one has like a 400% margin between coarse and fine. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration, to be quite honest. And neither one of these will make a cereal grain. Now, if you want to do a cereal grain and you already have one of these, then you need to pick up the flaker machine. So if you want to make a cereal grain, you want to pick up the flaker. And I'll put a link to that down below and tell you our coupon code for that. Now, because we're a small ministry, most states we don't have to charge tax. So that gives you another savings on top of that. So with either of these, if you want to do cracked grains or if you want to do cereals, you need the flaker mill, because it's not going to do that. It says they do cracked grains, but they really don't. It's a flour. Now, both of these you can mill corn, field corn, but this one you cannot do popcorn. This one you can. So you just have to read the instructions when you get it to know what you can mill and what you cannot. So these are both made by the same company. They're made by Nutrimill. This one is made in the USA. It's assembled in the USA is what they say. Okay, so these are both good machines. This is entry-level price. This is more of a middle range price. Now, let's swing all the way down here. This is the one I actually have in my pantry all the time. This is the Mockmill 100. These are made by the company called Mockmill. These two are made of a ArboBlend materials. It's a renewable material, so it's not plastic at all. It's very hard and very dense, so very good quality. This is the Mockmill 100. This is the Mockmill 200. So the Mockmill 100 has a 360 watt motor. Oh, one thing I forgot to say about this one, this is the fastest milling machine ever. It started shooting out. I didn't have the bowl ready, and it just started shooting it out so fast. I'm like, whoa, okay, that was fast. So this is a 400 watt motor. This is a 360 watt motor. So it's a Mockmill 100, and it will mill 100 grams of flour per minute. So it's a really good milling time. What I like about it is your variances between it can actually do cracked grain, and you actually get a cracked grain. Whereas this one, it's more of a flour. It's just a coarse flour. This variance actually goes from 1 to 10, and then you can reset it and go from 10 to 20. It has a much wider range on variables between coarse and fine. So that makes this it's kind of like an entry-level, higher-level machine, if that makes sense to you. So this would be a higher quality, you'd have more variabilities, but it's still an entry-level price. So this is a really good. Now, the reason I switched to this when I left the Nutrimill was because I can do spices in this machine. So if you've got cinnamon sticks, and even if the cinnamon sticks don't mill really well the first time, you can mill them again. You could do those cloves. Have you ever had cloves in your spice cabinet? You're like, yeah, I've had those cloves for like 35 years since I first got married, because how often do you use a whole clove? Now you can mill it into a powder and still use it. Okay, I don't know if they're still good after 35 years, but when you mill it, I have a feeling those essential oils are going to burst and you're just going to have a great smell in your kitchen. So you can mill spices, even rosemary, fennel. They all will mill chia seeds and things like that. But Think of all the spices, your pepper or your salt, any spice you want, you can be milling with this machine. Now, stepping up to the Mockmill 200, this has a higher wattage motor. It's a 600 watt motor, and it's going to mill 200 grams per minute. So we went from 100 to 200. Other than that, it does pretty much the same thing. It has an industrial styled motor in it, and it has a harder working motor. And so this one you might need to pause. This one and this one, you both are going to need to pause if you're doing long continuous milling, because they're not designed for long continuous milling. They need time to cool down. This one can work. This is a workhorse. This is a workhorse, can just keep milling, continuous milling all the time. Again, all of the spices, you have the variable adjustable on the side. So you have this adjustable knob right here. Now with these mills, you do have to turn it on first before you add the grain. The grain needs to go all the way out and then you turn it off. So this is our Mockmill 200. So these are both from Mockmill. They're both made in Germany. And then that takes us to the competitor of the wood machines out there. This is Mockmill's answer to having a nice, beautiful display on your countertop. And so this is the Lino 100. So they have a Lino 100, they have a Lino 200, and then they have a professional. What we have here is the Mockmill 100 put into a nice, beautiful wood casing, and it's a combination of some renewable material as well. Looks gorgeous on your counter. I've kind of got it hidden here with my book. I put my book down so you can see both of these really well. It's going to look gorgeous on your counter. It has a high capacity bowl, much higher capacity than this one. It's so you can put a lot more in and you can walk away and come back and it's like, oh, good, it's done. But so this one, you're going to have to continuously feed. So it's beautiful, but you're going to have to continuously feed it. This one, much bigger bowl, so you can get other stuff done while you're milling. Other than that, you just keep moving up in quality as you move to the center. If money was no object, I would go for the Lino 200 because you're going to get the industrial strength motor, you can more continuously mill, and you'd have the beautiful look. Now, if money was totally no object, then I would buy the professional because you could just let that thing run all day long. It's got a 12-year warranty. So, but considering that you may want to spend money on other things, I would go, the best choice is going to be the Lino 200. That is the best mill to get. You've got the looks, and you've got the motor, and you've got the capacity. And so this would be the top choice to get. Please check out our website for the different coupons and that we have for these machines. And when they are in stock, every once in a while, one of the machines will go out of stock just because of supply and demand. But we can still take pre-orders during that time period so you get your mill in the queue. So here are the top mills for 2024. I hope you figured out which one is going to be your favorite. Go ahead and buy it as soon as possible because we cannot control prices. I wish we could. Thank you for letting me share with you the best mills for 2024. I can't wait to read your comments on which one is your favorite. Which one did you choose? And if you already have these two, be sure and pick up the flaker because we need to have the ability to make whatever we need to in our own homes so that if any tragedy or any shutdown happens in the future, we say, hey, I've got it. My family is going to eat well. I'm going to be like Joseph and I'm going to prepare for days of famine. Otherwise, just enjoy it because it's fun. It is such a delight to know the bread that I put on the table, I made myself. I controlled every ingredient in the bread, and I know when my family eats it, they're going to be satisfied because I know their cells are going to be satisfied, and that means they're going to be happier. And that matters to me. Well, thank you for letting me share this with you. There's a reason why God gave us these grains to nourish our bodies. And it's because he loves us and he desires to have a personal relationship with us. And this is a relationship that he offers to us, but we must receive it. And if you haven't received it yet today, put a comment down below or message us so that we can help share with you how to do that today. He's the one true God. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he's a living God. He's not dead. He's not stone. He's a living God. And he created you for a purpose.